Hi, I'm Chris Dobbs, and this is my brand new Martin OME Cherry Custom. So, how did this guitar come about? It came about across 5 to 10 years, certainly 5 years of getting quotes and thinking things through and trying to find the right mixture of appointments and model and features and price and lifetiming and everything else. And so, I want to say, first of all, a huge thanks to Mark Rohr over at Reno's Music, guitarhotline.com. Mark's just been a great person to work with through this whole process. Again, years of me sending emails and going, what if we did this guitar with this top with that neck? Could we do it? Would they do it? How much would it cost? Does that mean we have to go to dovetail? Does that mean we have to change this feature? Does that mean this thing auto changes? And so I kind of want to just walk through the guitar, commemorate it, capture it in its infancy, in its first couple stages here, and then see how it changes over the years and see what you guys think of it, what you guys think of customs you've built, what you want to build. This guitar, it's based on a Martin OME Cherry, which is a sustainable model that Martin makes that uses all sustainable woods, FSC certified. This guitar is not FSC certified though, because I changed the top to an Italian Alpine spruce. And while that may or may not be sustainably managed, I think it probably leans more toward than away from it, but it's not FSC, so then the whole guitar doesn't get recertified on an individual basis. But what makes this an FSC style guitar? It's cherry back and sides, Pennsylvania cherry, which is a wood that grows much quicker than mahogany or rosewood. Cherry can be commercially farmed a little bit more. It has a crop that goes along with it. It's really a great wood in my opinion. This guitar, when I first started trying to build it or thinking about building it, I was basing it on the SW-OM GT. That's the sustainable wood, orchestra model, gloss top. Thankfully, Martin has shortened that down to OME Cherry, which means orchestra model, and E for electronics because there's a Fishman VT matrix system inside of here, and then Cherry because it's cherry back and sides. So, what did I change on this guitar? Change the top. That's what knocked it out of being FSC certified, is that it's an Italian Alpine spruce top. Italian Alpine spruce is the same stuff that Stradivari used for violins and cellos and guitars. I already had a guitar that was Adirondack. I had a Martin that was already Sitka. I really wanted an Italian Alpine. I also always sort of coveted the babyface model, which is Italian Alpine spruce. Let's try changing the top wood to see if we can get a little bit more responsiveness out of it, a little bit more high treble activity. It's definitely done that. Now, I couldn't say, is that entirely the top? Is that entirely any one feature? I don't know that it is, but I think the top is the biggest contributor to that. It also is short scale. It's a simple dovetail neck joint, and I wanted a mod V neck. That's the neck that I have on my CEO7. It's the neck that's on the Eric Clapton models. It's on all my favorite Martins, really have sort of a V shape to them. So that was really majorly important to me. And so when we did the quote with Martin, they said, we can do the mod V neck on a simple dovetail, but it has to be short scale. which is interesting to me because there are guitars that they've made over the years that have a mod V neck and are long scale. In fact, the Jeff Tweedy, I think, is a mod V neck with a simple dovetail on a long scale. But fine, this guitar has come out beautifully. I have no complaints with Martin at all. The short scaleness on it, though, I think definitely increases the playability comfort for me. I'm a blues player. I do a lot of bending. I play fairly heavy-handed, and it really just makes it a little bit lighter and slinkier feeling for me on the guitar. And the mod V-neck is just incredibly comfortable for me. Just feels right in my hand. The other thing that had to get changed as a sort of involuntary thing is normally this guitar comes with satin tuners, but the model that they have been using for it was no longer being used, and so they were switching it over to these gold Grover tuners, and they're fantastic. They pop a little bit brighter because they're not a satin finish gold, but they're great. I'm super happy with them. They work fantastically. The other changes were a little bit more cosmetic. This is Style 30 multicolor rope inlay. Style 30 took place in the early 1900s. You had Style 27 and 30 kind of all in the same range, and I'll post a link to a great online article about that below. But basically the multicolor rope, I first saw this 5-6 years ago on a custom shop with Goncalo Alves, or Alves, I'm not sure, back and sides, and it had this multicolor rope. It's red, green, and blue, and a little bit of cream in between in the spaces between the reds. And it's just, I love it. It's gorgeous. And to me also, on an Italian Alpine Spruce top, which is a little bit whiter of a wood, I think it really works fantastically well with it. The back and sides are gloss finished. The top on an OME cherry is always gloss. The back and sides are normally satin. I asked the custom shop to gloss finish them, and they did, and I love it. It's a player feel thing. I think satin and gloss don't really have any sonic difference in all likelihoods. That was sort of the last feature on the guitar that I went, that's the line of, I do want to pay for that one. This was not a guitar that I had unlimited funds on. This guitar came out to being just under $3,000 for me out of pocket from the store. But this guitar, I really wanted to find things that when I open it up, I would look at it and go, man, that's the custom guitar I always wanted. And we did it. What really feels great about it is this Martin came out amazing. It is lively. It is bright. It is everything I wanted it to be as far as when you get these magical Martins that have both that low, mid-range, soulful Martin thing and an active treble. And this, without being bright, without being shrill, but this just really awesome sounds. One more item of change is I did a Style 45 rosette on the back. To me, that, again, feels custom, and it has the red and blue vibes that really match with that Style 30. You can do Style 30 here, but I wanted Style 45. The last thing has always been sort of the first thing on my list about a custom Martin was that I wanted it to have the CF Martin Block Headstock. To me, this is what a custom Martin should be. This is what I thought as a kid growing up. Like, I thought all the great Martins, you have to have this. I didn't know about D35s and D28s and the great Martins that have just a normal script logo, and that's most of them. This was the dream for me, and so I wanted to do a CF Martin Block Headstock, original for me, and I'm super excited about it. I love the way that it came out. So what's the same from an OME Cherry perspective? The electronics. It's a Fishman Matrix VT system. So it has a battery pack in the back here, and then you have inside the sound hole, you have a volume, a tone, and an enhance. It has a tortoiseshell, or faux tortoiseshell, rosette, because my vegetarian wife was not going to go for a tortoiseshell, and neither do I. So here's an interesting thing I just realized. When I ordered this, it was going to be that it was just an OM pickguard. But that's a triple O pickguard. If you look at it, it's the same size as my 0018. So on an OM pickguard, it would actually come down here shorter. I don't know if that's because of the bridge movement being closer in, and so you can't fit an OM pickguard, but I'm gonna ask my buddy Mark about that one, because I just realized that it's a little different. So what's the same? You have the electronics, you have the rosette, you have the binding, which on this guitar is a cream binding. The guitar has a bound neck. The one difference there from most Martins is it doesn't bind this extra front of the neck, or of the fretboard. Ebony bridge, ebony fingerboard, and long diamond and square inlays. So for me, that was something I really wanted. My other two guitars have dots, and I really wanted to have a diamond and square, or a Foden, or a Style 42 Snowflakes, something like that. And so this guitar having that already in the model meant that I didn't have to pay an upgrade charge. So things that I would change. Not much. Really, there's only maybe two things that I would consider changing on the guitar, and I'm not even sure that I would do them. One is you can get the label made out specifically to who the guitar was built for and signed by CF Martin IV, Chris Martin. I have my CEO7 that's signed by him. I have my HDMMV that's signed by him personally from when I went for the Martin Owners Club. I thought about doing it for this, and it was just, okay, there's going to be another $100 on the cost. I had to draw the line somewhere. And I thought, well, hopefully I'll run into him and he can sign the inside of this one like he signed the inside of that one. I might change my mind about having wanted to do that for two factors. One is it was announced Chris Martin's going to retire next year. He far earns it. In my opinion, he's in the Mount Rushmore of guitar manufacturers, with Leo Fender, Chris Martin IV, Paul Reed Smith, and Ted McCarty. That's my Rushmore on particularly the 20th century, but I think you can go the whole way on that one. He's done so much for the company and for guitar players and for all of us, that now that he's retiring, I am a little bit more thinking in my head like, oh, I should have gotten it signed. The other factor is my daughter was born just before this guitar got here, very shortly before. And I kind of now realize with them having the same born on date, basically, that unquestionably this one's getting handed down to her. Sorry to my son, but this one's definitely going to be hers. And there's a little bit of me that thinks, well, should I have made it out to her or should I have made it out to me for her? Like, what are you going to do? The other thing that upon seeing it in person, the other thing that I might have considered doing, but I'm kind of happy about, is binding the headstock. A lot of times with the CF Block, you're going to see it with a bound headstock. But the reason that I really love this headstock is the development of it. The original version of it doesn't have the C and F on it, and it was designed for the Martin archtops that were coming out in the early 30s, 1931, the C1, C2, C3. And those guitars, the C1, did not have a bound headstock. It just said Martin down it. And I like that. I think the bound headstock might have been one too many things. And again, you got to draw the line somewhere on costs, but I'm really thrilled with how the guitar came out. It is just outstanding. I definitely would not change the top wood, the back and size, the bracing, the short scale, the Mod V, the inlays, everything. I'm so over the moon. Maybe the other thing I would have done is dumped the pickguard. I think Martins can look amazing without pickguards. You know, there's certainly no harm in the pickguard, and I suppose if I really wanted it off, I could have my luthier take it off safely. But I dig it now that I have it. Now that I see it in person, I think it's the right call to have it. If you have questions, if you have thoughts, if you have things that you want to build, put them down in the comments. I would love to hear about them. And most of all, be safe and be well.